Okay, we are officially live.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. I am Chloe.
And I'm Sandy. And this is WordStitch.
I'm
never sure if you're going to say it.
I don't know. I just I don't know what I'm ever going to say ever about anything. But welcome, guys.
Yes, welcome to our show. Mostly our write-in.
Sandy's a bit sleepy today, and I'm just I don't know, I'm spacing out a bit. The good news is that we do stick to that schedule that we like so much. So even if we're just kind of blanking out a bunch, we'll still have our word sprints going on. So bear with us today, but it's been a whole thing. So we'll get our first sprint going at 5 after. Yes, we're absolutely going to perform for you. But hey, Devin and Sarah and Destiny, did I miss anyone? I think it's everybody who said hello so far. So Sandy, I know you are a bit sleepy time right now. Are you planning on being productive? Do you have productivity plans, or are you just going to take itty bitty naps? I won't judge you if itty bitty naps is what your plan is.
Yeah, I'm having serious insomnia right this second. No, I'm going to try to work. At least I'm going to work until the work causes me to fall asleep. So I'll set timers. But if I don't show back up after breaks, that's what happened.
We'll know, and we will make do. I apologize, but I'm yawning right now. You didn't see that. You didn't see that.
Oh my gosh, that's contagious. I need to get some adrenaline. I'm sorry. I'm gonna fix this.
That's why I covered up as best as I could. But I was like, I gotta state what's happening here. That's me for me to pretend that I'm not yawning when I am.
Now, I need to be productive today. I've got that sequel, and the month is going by, and it needs to be done by the end of June. I can't afford more.
Is that your published date on it, or is that just when you need it for typesetting and all of that crap?
When I need it so that I'm not behind on the next book that I need done by August for a cover. I will be in major trouble if I don't have that thing done with another book. It'll just all roll. It'll be really bad.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And what's crazy is I actually like a lot of the project. I have a lot of it available for myself, and I listen to it on a text-to-speech reader. And there's this whole huge chunk that I love. So why can't I just move forward on the couple chapters I don't love?
And you've got it all written now, right? You've got a continuous story. You do not have a continuous story. That's an issue.
Yeah.
And I say that from the perspective of somebody who is a chronological writer and therefore, or a linear writer. So I have no idea how I would handle a moment like that. I will absolutely fill in. I've got that issue with what I wrote for this last camp, that I am missing some scenes in that. But that's just because I didn't know what one of my plot elements was going to be until halfway through. So I kind of forged ahead. But if you read that story, it is absolutely a continuous story from the beginning to the end. The only thing is that there's this random unexplained plot line that would pop up in the middle of it from when I figured out what was going on. How much are you missing at this point? Or how?
I probably need to revise a third, write a third, and there's a third that's good. But I have a protagonist issue, honestly. My female protagonist, let's just say she's trying to take down the patriarchy. So she's got 99 problems, and I can't.
All of them.
Seriously, I've got many male enemies for her. And I think I haven't decided, she needs a focus, right? But and she gets a focus a third of the way through the book. But until that appears, she looks like she's not focused. And people don't follow a character like that. They need to have one solid goal, or it becomes difficult for your reader. So in any case, that's, I think, some of my problem. Are you working on Hazel still, or have you moved on to
Yeah, we'll talk
Shifters.
later.
Okay, we'll talk later. Let's ride now.
It is 5 after the hour, so we are going to do our 10-minute sprint now. We will see you guys at quarter after. Good luck, everybody.
Okay. I did not nap during that. I wrote 4 or 5 sentences.
That's
None of
good.
which I like, but still.
Yeah.
What about you?
I read a little bit.
Of your own stories or something else?
No, of this stupid. So Destiny was talking before the show started about how she is working on editing the first book of a series that she's working on. Where is that? Oh, she said it was she said it came to light as I wrote book 2 and started. Oh, my computer's freaking out right now, so I apologize if things are real bouncy on my end. But as she wrote book 2 and started that 3, that 1 was really a mess, and some of it did nothing for the story and did not need to be there. I'm doing the same thing right now. I'm kind of done with it, but I'm just rereading what I wrote before. I'm doing the same thing, except for I really like this book, but nobody else likes it. And it's a book that the 4th book is due to be coming out in a few months. So I'm tinkering with it to see if people like it better, if I tinker with it. But like, I feel like I'm just dragging the whole thing down right now. So I don't know what I'm doing. But yes, I am also in that thing of trying to fix a first book in a series that's already written. But yeah, like everything that I've added to it, I don't think actually adds anything to it. So I don't know.
Is that Warren's Tabby?
Yeah.
You need a pool of people who read Shifter stuff to read it and let you know. That's my personal opinion.
It's hard to get a big enough group for something like that, though, when it's like that specific, where you're looking for people who are looking for not just Shifter, but steamy Shifter novella series as a very specific thing. And, yeah. Getting that group. Oh, dystopian as well.
The dystopian aspect of that story is, I mean, that's the really cool part about what you're doing there.
Like, none of the story is comedy, and that's also a lot of what Shifter stuff is comedy. So yeah, like, I'm just gonna wing it again, and whatever happens, happens.
That's actually kind of odd for you. I think all of your work, except for that one, has at least a little element of comedy, right? Like,
oh, I mean, like, there are certainly comedy elements to it. Like, I don't like completely squelch. Like, I don't know. I don't think any book is good without having some comedy element to it. It doesn't need to be strong, but there needs to be something you laugh about occasionally. But like, this is a serious dystopian dealing with like race relations. So it's definitely not like the more slapstick demon series that I'm doing that like all of hell is just like stupid shit. None of it makes any sense. And it's this kind of ridiculous in what all is happening in that series. And this one, it's very serious that these are people who are fighting for their lives and their freedom. And also like, sex and all of that. But it's just a very different setup. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's actually very difficult. This is, again, another problem I'm having. Like, my YA tone is light. It goes better that way for me. But right now, since my protagonist has taken down the patriarchy, none of that's light. You know what I'm saying? Like it's real hard to have, say, like a harassment moment, or like to get ignored by a bunch of men in a room, or to be pissed off at something that's happening because some group of very privileged people made that decision and you weren't part of it, and like make that funny. It's just not. It's not. And then to make it worse, I I have in my head that the most interesting thing that she should be dealing with is a stolen blood sample, like from a character in the previous book. But that's interesting to me as like a science geek. Like maybe people don't think of that as interesting. Maybe they just figure like, dead body laying around. You should totally be able to take those blood samples, do whatever you want with them.
I mean,
but you know what I'm saying? Like it's not Hunger Games conflict.
But it's like this blood sample could change the world in like a good way or a bad way. I don't think there's anything wrong with that being the like major catalyst for it. You just got to make sure that it is. You have to stress how important this blood sample is,
right?
And
so
not it being like, I want this because I want it. Like, as long as I want this because the world is at stake if I don't get it, or because I need it for a far more important reason than the people who have it or are also trying to get it want it. Like, you just got to make sure that the stakes around that blood sample are high enough to justify the entire story being around getting that blood sample. Like, I'm sure that's absolutely a plot and other things.
It's right, and it's not. It's one of her 99 problems, but also like it's an ethical dilemma for my character. She thinks that her kingdom shouldn't have this particular sample, and that they need to give it back. That it's like we screwed this up. This was unethical kind of thing. And that is the sort of issue that I think a real person dealing with politics would have, right? Like those kinds of things matter, just like in the YA world, compared to Katniss Everdeen shooting an arrow at somebody's head. Like my character being like, excuse me, but I don't think this is ethical. You know what I'm saying? Right? Yeah. So I'm having a problem because I you know what this is? I have too much real world like life experience I cannot imagine her problems to be as stupidly unrealistic as most YA is, and therefore I am struggling to write a good YA story. It is,
which is a problem for me. I mean, but that goes into the issue of like meeting genre expectations.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Which is a different issue from making the story interesting.
But I mean, it's right along those lines, right? Like I know what the genre expectation is. I also know this happens to be a genre that cares about social justice. I know what people think they like to read. I know most of the time they're a little stupid about what's true social justice. I would like to give them some true social justice. I need a way to make it really exciting. And it just hasn't gotten there yet. So
you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comparatively, like my hero in the story needs to like go fight his brother to take back his kingdom. It's totally YA oriented.
Yeah, that sounds easy. Totally apart. But I will say also with the first book in this series, it was identical to this. Like not in a bad way, but like the stakes were identical. Mm-hmm. Where one was trying to save her life, mm-hmm. Because she had already been assassinated and was just waiting to die. And the other one was just kind of on the run from something that she didn't fully understand, right? Am I remembering that correctly? I remember she just wanted that damn sassafras.
She just kept following sort of like rabbit trails, right? It was like, oh, I want that sassafras. Oh, I would like to follow my boyfriend.
I don't know. I feel like as long as it's that character, which it is, mm-hmm. I know enough of the story to know that she is the one who's just trying to get this vial of blood bath. Woo. I don't know if that's necessarily a problem as long as the stakes are high enough on the other side. Like if she's the comic foil to the more serious plot line, then I don't think, which she was last time as well. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. But I think it's kind of right.
Yes, we need to write. Yeah. We can talk about this shortly. Okay.
So we are writing for 25 minutes. It is 25 after now, so we will stop writing at 10 of the hour. Good luck, everybody.
Okay. All right. How are you doing?
Good. Did you get any work done?
Yeah, but I don't like any of those sentences either.
Yeah, I don't like any of the sentences that I'm looking at, so it's okay.
I think maybe if I do this, like it dawned on me that maybe what I need to do is write it like backwards from the first scene where I really like what my protagonist is doing, you know, kind of like
Yeah.
see what I have to do to get her there.
Backtracking.
Yeah.
Do you have like a rough outline for these scenes that you're missing?
I have so many outlines. It's just that they never seriously, like you should see the spreadsheet. It is ridiculous at this point. I have a themed spreadsheet.
Oh dear.
There's color coding happening.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that's how bad it got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did everybody do at home?
Yeah.
While Sandy is lamenting.
I am lamenting. I'm sorry. It's been like a down day.
Yeah. I've now turned this story, the one that I'm working on, into something where I don't think I've got any dialogue in the first 5,000 words.
What?
I don't think I've got any dialogue in the first 5,000 words.
That is not at all like you.
No, and that's not at all like a good story. No, it's not 5,000. It's 2,000 words.
Oh, well, that's better.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's 3 scenes of no dialogue.
Is there action?
A guy jumps off a bridge.
That's all kinds of stuff. All right. Some of the people with us are actually getting some work done. Some words.
I'm so proud of all of you who are not me.
Some actual brainstorming, some editing. I'm getting work done. I'm probably going to trash it all at some point.
Right. But I guess if it gets the wheels turning,
this is me. I really feel this.
Yeah.
Destiny, I'm so with you right now.
Destiny, is there anything that we can do to help? Are you stuck on anything? We're good at figuring out other people's stories, if not our own.
So good. Let's do that.
Yeah.
We wrote words.
If you guys are stuck on anything, we're here for you. Because it hides our own failings.
Oh, I don't think we make efforts to hide our own failings. I'm fairly certain that that's just like out there.
I don't know. I actually spent a solid amount of time on Twitter today.
What? Why?
Because I hate what I'm working on so much that I was like, let me tweet to people. Let me reply to other people's problems to make me feel better. And like, let me reply to this question about copyrighted things to explain, like, here, I know something. The age-old question of can there be Coke in my story? Coca-Cola as opposed to cocaine, which of course you can always have cocaine in your story, but there's that branding issue. Someone
has an actual thing for us to worry about here. Let's do that instead of talks about cocaine.
I was talking about Coca-Cola, but that's okay.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so Leora says, so she has an action figure.
Oh, is this current day, and how old is this character?
It's an action figure.
That will absolutely guide me on the answer if I know how old this person is today.
You're a gamer, aren't you? Or you have a past as a gamer?
That's exactly why I asked that question.
Oh, good. By the way, Devin also has decided to help you with yours. See, he says that you have dialogue. The guy is screaming as he goes off the bridge.
He doesn't scream. He turns into an antelope.
And ruined. Okay.
Yes, you can absolutely, just in case anybody is not aware of this situation, you can absolutely include brands in your story. You just cannot defame those brands. Just like in the news, you can mention brands all you want in the news, but if you say anything that's a lie about that company or that puts them in a bad light, they can sue you for that.
Okay, so we've got sci-fi, fantasy, and the guy is 21 but a perfect geek. I don't do any gaming. I have no ability to help you with this.
I'm okay. So he is currently 21, but he will have played some older games. I'm just making sure. What about, like, would he potentially have like a big daddy / little sister thing from BioShock? Because that's very sci-fi. And it's old, but like it's a well-known reference. And it's a very distinctive character.
You've got game suggestions too from the Dawdling Writer. Half-Life, Math. I don't know any of this, but presumably
I know all of those games. It could be the box from Portal. That's a good one. Again, if you want something like really distinctive that like people would actually have figurines for, that's a good one. I only played like really old Doom. I don't know that much about like what's happened in more modern times with Doom. I was also more of a fantasy. Master Chief is a good one too. I always forget Halo because my brain always goes to Red versus Blue when we talk about Halo, and of course Red versus Blue destroyed everything with that.
There's some qualification here. Character has to be sentient.
Okay. Oh, okay. So if it's eavesdropping, yeah, Red versus Blue was amazing. I loved it, especially when they were like literally using a sword as a key because there were no keys in the game. Yeah, that's a good one. Or like if you wanted to go really retro, you could go with like a Samus or like even like a Mario or a Sonic, depending on how retro he is. Yeah, there's a lot of different options there. You could go with like what the hell are they called? The little plastic thingies that are all popular. Pop art? What the hell are those things called? I'm going to sound vinyl. Pop vinyl, is that what they're called? Anyways,
no. Bobblehead.
Like a really cute Mega Man one.
I'm talking over you. I'm sorry. You're not
fine.
talking about bobbleheads? No?
No. I'm almost positive it's called pop vinyl. I've just never owned the things or been interested in them to know exactly the name, but they are literally everywhere. Yes, pop vinyl. Funko Pops. Yes, that is exactly the things that I'm talking about.
Has this been helping or not so much? I feel like it's a different language.
Oh, you know where it's helping? Because it's 5:00 East Coast time, which means that it's time for our next sprint.
Having solved the problem, have gotten to more writing time.
Yes. Yeah, we will hopefully find a better topic in a half hour. We will
or
see
actually
you guys
come up with a character for her. Okay. So let's do this. Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you guys in a half hour.
Okay, we are back.
We are.
Yes.
What'd you do?
I lost my focus at some point. I don't know. I'm trying to write my current scene is a date. It's a date with a hot scientist. But
with who?
His name is Heathrow Princeton.
Who is he dating?
Karina.
Karina's old enough to date hot scientists? Isn't she like 16?
Yeah, I think she might be 17 by we get to. He's also 17. He is a savant.
Okay.
Yeah. No, he's a college kid. I like like another thing that's not going to go well for me with YA. That's a problem, right? Like, I don't like the idea of my female protagonist getting stuck with the first guy she dates. That sounds horrible to me. Heathrow's a good date.
Whoa. And Red Queen, the first guy that she dated tried to kill her, so
I don't remember what happened at the end of that book.
It sucked.
Yeah. I remember feeling like there were like a lot of love triangles that I was dissatisfied with.
Yeah. You only read the first book, right? Or did you read the first two? And I know that you didn't read the last one because I told you not to.
Oh, no, I didn't get past the first book. I read the first book. I thought there was like some potential redemption at the end. And then I couldn't do it.
Yeah, there wasn't. Like, there was absolutely like 50 pages before the book was over. You were like, oh, he'll be redeemed. And then he just like effed off and died.
Yeah, that's super sad.
It was bad. And with the conversation that you're having with Destiny about YA, like romance and YA, now I've never read the series, so bear with me. But Hunger Games doesn't have an actual romance in it, right?
Oh no, Hunger Games has like a total love triangle in it. I
thought she actually hated both of them or something. Did I misunderstand what people told me about Hunger Games?
Yeah, you misunderstood. There's a love triangle. It's a weird love triangle because she's passionately attracted to one guy who turns out to be kind of an ass. And like the other guy, she's like really not sort of passionately attracted to, but she's like stuck in a lot of near-death situations with him, and that it changes your relationship. So, so which I get. Like, I mean, actually, like as far as like YA goes, it and sort of like not ending her up with like the very first guy, that they did okay with that, but it was. I don't know. I was dissatisfied with the end of Hunger Games, even though I really, really, really loved the first book, but YA has come a really long way, like there are some amazing, beautiful YA books out right now. Some that don't do romance. Like I recently read Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. This is like girl fighter pilot. And there is like a little awkward romance. It like barely develops in the first book. And at some point she flirts with some other guy and she's so awkward. The girl says something like, I want to be able to flirt, but I'm not exactly sure how to do it. Like, what do you offer to a guy you're into? The spoils of war?
Okay.
You're like, well, Brandon Sanderson, I love you.
And then your that pirate series that you were into, you said there wasn't any romance in that one too, right?
There does end up being a romance. It's a reverse Stockholm syndrome. Seriously, she totally captures some, well, like the first guy she meets, like stabs her in the stomach and kills her family. So then there's a whole revenge plot. There's no romance with him. But then but then she meets some other guy and the guy is like she sort of captures him, puts him in prison because she doesn't trust him, makes him sort of stay there for like a really long time. And he, for whatever reason, thinks that's hot. And so he's all into her, even though she is.
So it's the actual Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, except that it's
Stockholm
Well,
syndrome.
but usually
I got
for the
confused
Stockholm
by that.
syndrome, except that usually Stockholm syndrome, it's the girl who's been
Well, I think that's
imprisoned.
just because usually it's harder to overpower a man as a woman than it is to overpower a woman as a man.
Okay, fair enough. It's total Stockholm syndrome. But I love watching it because it's so very like, well, that's a gender switch that you don't usually get to see. And it's fun. So yeah, so she does have a romance, and it's a gritty kind of romance because that guy turns out to be, he has like a dark past. And she's headed down a dark path, and it's fun. It's fun.
I mean, it sounds like they both kind of have dark pasts. If her entire family was murdered.
Yeah, right. And she's trying to do some kind of like gritty thing. So I mean, YA really has like a lot of fun stuff these days, and it doesn't always have to revolve around romance. There's a great book out right now. It's called They Both Die at the End. Spoiler alert, they both die at the end. But it's a like a futuristic kind of thing between these two boys who are both they get like notices that they're going to die that day. Like that's how the society works.
Oh,
and then and then there's these like apps that can hook you up with like death buddies, and they get hooked up and basically like run around the city living their last day together. And it's very, I mean, there is a little romance, but it's definitely not like the point.
Right.
So I know, I mean, there's like some really fun
I was
stuff.
expecting you to go in like A Fault in Our Stars direction there. I guess
I think they like make out and then one of them dies.
And then the other one dies, right?
But you know, there's a little time. I think there's an hour difference there.
Okay.
So, point being, YA has actually some really good evolved romance these days. Like there's some nice stuff going on where you can, like, even like the contemporary stuff, you'll get the story, and it's not like the dashing guy who's the hero or whatever. It's the nerdy brother of your best friend who's always driven you crazy or whatever. So
I have been in Red Queen.
It's what to Red Queen?
It's what should have been in Red Queen. She should have ended up with her buddy from the beginning.
Yeah.
Instead
of either the evil princes. Yeah.
That was what I was hoping for the entire time. I hated that story. But hey, maybe that will, I don't know. That's probably going to totally mess up the romance industry like 15 years down the line, because I don't know how to write nerdy characters. I don't know how to write nerdy males. They all have to be alphas. If they're nerdy, they're still also alphas. Like they still have to like somehow find time in between all of their nerdy shit to like get to the gym.
I don't think you have to worry about it. I mean, you have to remember that like the YA audience doesn't necessarily outgrow those books. Like they're still reading YA when they're 40.
I mean, not necessarily, but certainly when I was a young adult, I read young adult, and now I am an adult and I read romance. Now, I did also read Anne Rice as a young adult, so I was already kind of getting my feet wet in romance and also terrible stuff. But the actual young adults reading young adults who might grow out of young adult and into full-fledged adults, it could be an issue.
So we have
not to say that this shouldn't happen. I absolutely think it should happen, but like also a whole lot of stuff is going to get like, it's going to get more difficult for romance writers.
God, I hope not. I hope that what happens is that the YA community has people who like grow up and out, right? Like maybe they actually like get to some point where they're like, all right, had some social justice.
Right.
Now I just need to like, you know, absorb myself in some dumb alpha comedy fantasy that's going to totally offend all of my feminist inklings. By the way, we actually do have a question here. So from someone who's trying to work on something serious. So Daya says that she's, or is trying to figure out the length. Here, let me just put it up here. Trying to figure out the central tech in my sci-fi project, not exactly making progress, wondering what exposition of it would interest and intrigue the reader most. I think this is an interesting question because it's really hard to figure out like how much exposition you need. Like, this is something that's happened to me in my YA book. Like, I've got people who would complain that they're confused. I don't understand your society. Why didn't I get like a whole huge history of what happened? Because I freaking took it out because it was boring.
Yeah, because it was boring. People don't get that. They don't get the art of it. But at the same time, there is that balance. Like, that's kind of that like back end. Like, you need to make sure that people understand your world without feeling like they've had the world jammed down their throats. And it's definitely like it's an aspect of writing that is challenging and people don't see. For this question, I think it all absolutely goes to your genre and what people expect from your genre. As a romance writer, I can give very little. It can be very vague. There are many times when I have asked somebody a question about how something works, and they start launching into this whole great big thing, and I'm like, no, stop. I literally don't need to know the rest of it because my readers don't need to know the rest. It just happened today with me asking Ken what would be making the noise on a rifle, like to notify somebody that somebody was dealing with a rifle nearby.
You're like, I just need the name of the part.
And he literally like was like, oh, I'll show you when I get home. Like, there's probably a rifle somewhere in our house. And he was fully ready to bring it out and show me, or like bring up videos or whatever. And like, no, I literally just need to know if like you're cocking it or you're loading it or what the right term is. So that's the romance side. And the thing is that it's important. Like, I know it could sound like if you're not a romance reader or writer, it could sound like I'm saying that romance readers like don't need as much as everybody else, which is true, but also the flip side is that you cannot give them too much. They won't read you if you're going into like the schematics of a gun. So it is very important to get that balance right on it.
But they totally need the relationship. Yeah.
And when I'm reading sci-fi, I will read the same 3 pages over and over and over again to make sure that I understand exactly what's going on with the science element of it. And I want it to be as lengthy as it needs to be for me to fully understand it. So in that sense, if you are actually doing, you said that this was the central tech. Oh, in your sci-fi project, it says it right there. There is a fairly good chance that you really need it to be explained in a very meaty fashion. But if you can do it through like some sort of dialogue or action, if you can either have one character explain it to another, or if you can have the character actually interacting with it, and as they interact with it, show how it works that way. Those are 2 really good ways to do it without it actually being an exposition dump.
Yeah, I think fantasy written for adults is the same way with that. Like a fantasy or a sci-fi reader, they really want this. Again, by the way, is super weird with YA because most YA readers don't want that. But then every now and then, you've got a future sci-fi reader who's picked up like your YA.
Fantasy, and this is something that I'm dealing with my fantasy romance because I'm writing a genre that doesn't exist, and I have no idea what my audience is actually going to be. If I'm going to be pulling in fantasy readers, if I'm going to be pulling in romance readers, and with that contrast that I said, and then you pointed out is also true with fantasy. I absolutely have my magics in this world down to a very specific science. And I don't know if it's better for me to actually fully explain that science or if it doesn't really matter. And I can just say that these people do this and these people do this. And I don't want to also alienate a reader because they either didn't want that great big explanation or they did want that great big explanation. So it is very much a dance.
Seriously.
Nailing it. But the important thing with the exposition is that if you do have to do an exposition dump, chop it up. Have other stuff going on, and that tends to help the reader get through it.
Right. We should do the whole writing thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that is what we're here for. So we are going to write for the next 10 minutes. It is now 46 after, so we will see you guys at 4 of the hour.
Okay, we are back. My scene actually ended okay. I don't even know how that happened.
What?
My scene, it ended okay. Like, I think I might be happy with this. It might be that it wasn't as bad as I thought. Yeah, right?
Yeah, that happens a lot. Also, Destiny, I'm sorry if we somehow talked you into rewriting more than you meant to. That was not my goal in that conversation. I was genuinely confused about the genre.
Everybody's confused about that genre. There's no.
I shouldn't talk about YA because like all of my YA experience is from like the books written 1990 to 1995, and then books written from like 2008 to 2012, and I literally know nothing else outside of that period, and it's the genre changes too much.
Yeah, but I mean, the only thing you need to know is that it really truly gets better and better. Like, it's a really solid genre right now.
I loved YA in the 90s. I don't know what you're implying.
What was not YA in the 90s? I did a blog post on here. I could barely figure out what it would be. What, like,
it was so I only knew it from the paranormal romance from then. Well, no, I guess it was, but like I only knew it from paranormal, I guess, not paranormal romance specifically, but like I remember it being I read a lot of Christopher Pike and the Goosebumps and R.L. Stine and R.L. Stine was Goosebumps. But then also like that was when Vampire Diaries and The Secret Circle came out. That's when those books were written. It was, I don't know, it wasn't these we have to save the world plots.
I feel like
teenagers actually being teenagers, and that was nice.
Yeah.
L.J. Smith. Yes, L.J. Smith was the Vampire Diaries author.
I feel like to me, if you're talking about Goosebumps, you're talking about middle grade. But it doesn't matter. The point is, YA is huge now, and the genre is, I mean, there's genres within YA.
Oh my God, Dragonlance. Dragonlance was the 90s.
Dragonlance
was amazing. It was the D&D series. It was the novel series of Dungeons and Dragons. Dragonlance. And I mean, we're just remembering the content of it. It had to have been YA. There's no way that was adult stuff because it was like, it was YA. Sorry.
Yeah, I suppose YA had different genres back then too. So what I read that was YA, like, you know, those books where like what?
Like Anne of Green Gables and stuff like that.
No, well, yes, but that's old school, right? But for like the new stuff, there was an author who like wrote just book after book about like terrible stuff happening to teenagers, like their brother dies in a car accident and then they have to deal with it, or they get hit by like a drunk driver and then they're paralyzed, or like their sister dies of cancer. Like what was the name of that woman? Something Lorraine McClellan or something like that. I don't know, but I was obsessed. Yeah. I had like 20 of those.
Yeah, like why? I don't know, YA back then, like even if it was paranormal, it was much more realistic to a teenager than it is now. Even maybe. If it was paranormal, like if it was paranormal, they were still going to high school. You know, like it wasn't like there was still very much like teenage elements to it that I feel like aside from the coming of age themes in YA, we've kind of ditched for these much more worldly.
Yeah, for sure. Because you could have read like the Babysitter's Club as like a elementary school / maybe middle schooler, and then moved on to 90s YA, and it would have been like a good transition. Yeah. Now, if you read the Babysitter's Club,
it would have made
yeah, and then you moved on to like the Hunger Games, you'd be very confused.
Or even like The Fault in Our Stars. Like that's the thing, is that even if it is a realism, the level that realism has gone to is just like it's very extreme, and it is what it is. Like, I'm not saying that one is better than the other. It's just two very different things, and that like very much the more realistic plot lines just wouldn't fly anymore.
Yeah, you have to expect that your teenagers deal with more shit than teenagers in the 90s did. Like, they are more exposed, they're more anxious, they're more
right
worldly themselves. They
Whether they're
deal with
dealing with more shit or not, they are exposed to more.
They deal with school shootings, like Columbine didn't happen until what, 97 or something? Like,
yeah, my senior year is Columbine.
Yeah, like our high school was almost over by the time like everything that changed YA happened. So I don't know. Okay, that just took a really sad, dark turn.
Yeah,
so,
on that real depressing note, we're gonna call it a day.
All right.
Aging note. I don't know what it was like to go to school in the time of school shooters.
We're so old.
Oh yeah, Babysitters Club. We're gonna cut, but like Sarah makes a good point. Their Babysitters Club was actually middle grade. It wasn't even like I read it younger than that. I read it in like 4th to 6th grade, which I guess is kind of when you're starting to hit middle grade. But yeah,
but that's what I mean, right? Like, it was like what you would have gone to before you moved to like YA. Like in that transition wouldn't have felt that weird. Like, it would have been like, oh, okay, so now we have more boyfriends and more death, but like we're still kind of in like that innocence.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So that was a weird stream for us, but we'll be back next Monday, and maybe we'll be more focused, but maybe not. I make no promises because we never know what we're getting into. But yeah, thanks everybody for coming.
Yeah, thanks so much. It's always more fun for us when we have people participating along with us. So we'll see you next week, I guess.
Bye, everybody.